Welcome back to the dojo, y'all. Welcome back to the daily discussions. I'm your host, Professor Hawk Sensei, and I'm glad you can make it. I'm glad you're tuning in. Today, I want to talk about poverty and why it sucks. Poverty sucks. If you never had to go to bed hungry, if you never knew where your next meal was coming from, if you had to wear your shoes until the soles were worn out, if you had to share your bathtub water, if you drank a lot of Kool-Aid, ate a lot of oodles and noodles, you know what I'm talking about. If you didn't really get that much for Christmas or anything for Christmas, you know what I'm talking about. If you will get free lunch, or maybe sometimes the kids at lunch might help you out. You know what I'm talking about. Poverty is hitting this nation very hard. If you don't know what nation I'm talking about the United States of America. In the United States of America, there are a lot of us. I want to say at least like 70% of the population is more than likely around or below the poverty line. This is me just going off the top of my head. I'm not using statistics because I don't think it's necessary. The majority of people online who come across this video are going to know what I'm talking about. I mean, if you earning less than $50,000 a year, you know what I'm talking about. If you earning less than $50 an hour, you probably know what I'm talking about. $50 an hour, that's pretty good nowadays, but $30 an hour is slowly becoming not enough with the way that prices are going, inflation and all this other nonsense. I'm not gonna say nothing about tariffs because I don't know what they are. I don't know anything about tariffs, and I'm not interested in looking it up. I don't care about politics. I don't care about none of that stuff. Right? Poverty sucks. And I can tell you from experience because the majority of my life I lived in poverty where I didn't have enough. There were times where we had more than enough, but that was a roller coaster. It was never stable. It was never always solid. You know what I mean? There were times we had to go without. And being in these situations for an extended period of time, you go one or two ways. You either embrace it and you fall in love with the people, the places, and the things that are byproducts of poverty. On the other hand, you get sick of it and you want to do everything within your power to get out of that situation, out of that neighborhood, out of that mentality, out of those interactions, out of that place. Need something new. I want to be in the county. I want to be in a suburban area. You know what I mean? I want to be in a nice neighborhood where everybody cut their grass. You know? I think that's what the majority of people who live in poverty aspire to achieve. A more comfortable life. Now, most people who live in poverty, who don't know nothing about money, they just want a whole bunch of money so they ain't got to worry about money. But even if you get a whole bunch of money, like winning the lottery, you can still blow all that money and spend it and not realize where the hell it went. Because poverty really truly is a mindset. You have to get out of that mindset of just, I don't know if I'm going to make it tomorrow, so I'm just going to have a blast today. You know what I mean? That's a mindset. You want to start saving your money. You want to start putting things aside. You want to start plotting a course of action, a step-by-step plan. Okay, so maybe this step didn't work out. You can backtrack go back to the drawing board and sketch up a whole new idea and a whole new plan. Sometimes when you're in a poverty mindset, when you take a L, you know what I mean, you don't want to do the work it takes to get back to square one, because you at negative when you take a L. You usually when you take a L, you back at negative. And now you got to do work just to get back to square one. Some people don't want to do that. They rather just take from somebody else. Because like I said, poverty sucks. And also it gets hard, it gets difficult. Especially for the people who fall in love with the ghetto, with the hood mentality, with the hood itself. There's some people who fall in love with it. There's some people who've never left the hood, like literally. They never went outside the city limits. Don't know what's out there outside of what they see on the internet. You know what I mean? Poverty sucks. And I want to drive the point home that it's really a mindset. If you take your time and you focus on an ambition to get out of there, I'm certain you can do it, especially if you don't have a criminal record. That goes doubly for somebody who hasn't gotten in trouble. And if you haven't gotten in trouble, keep it that way. It's not the time to start getting in trouble, because the laws and statutes that's going on now, it seems like they cracking down and they ramping up. People crashing out at an alarming rate. And I think it's all mostly because of the poverty mindset. People who are already well-to-do, they got more opportunities and more resources to go viral or to get a following or whatever, you know what I mean? Because what I see on YouTube, more often than not, people don't even want to look at your channel or even give you a chance if you ain't already got your stuff situated and set and you already look professional. You know what I mean? I understand why that is. I understand why that is. But that's the way that the system is designed. It's designed to keep you out of the game if you already don't have chips to play with. It take money to make money. So if you don't really have money, you got to go from A to B to C to D to E. You know what I mean? You got to do a step by step. You got to get a job somewhere, earning some money, put some money aside. Maybe after a year, 2, 3 years, the money that you save, now you can invest into a business and start building your own income. You know what I mean? That's how that works. When you weren't born into wealth or born with a silver spoon, you gotta figure out how to get it yourself. And it's gonna take you longer than it will somebody who already got everything they need to succeed. That's the difference between those of us who were born with the short end of the stick versus those of them who already have it made. You got to do the groundwork. You got to do the heavy lifting. You got to do the move making. You have to do that. That's what it takes to get outside of poverty. First is the mindset. You got to get outside of the poverty mindset. I'm not saying you need to be wealthy, you need to be a millionaire, billionaire. No, you want to be comfortable. You want to be in a place where you feel comfortable raising your children. You want to be in a place where you ain't looking outside all hours of the night to make sure that your car is still there. You know what I mean? You want to live a comfortable life. And in order to do that, you have to get out of desperate areas. The hood, the ghetto, the projects, those are desperate areas. Low income, people who don't make that much money. And when you don't make that much money, you are more often than not in desperate situations where you do desperate things and not really think about the consequences because you're trying to eat right now. I understand it. I've been in those rooms. I've been on those blocks. I understand what the stimuli is to get somebody to that point. And a lot of times, 9 times out of 10, it's a poverty mindset. It's a lazy mindset. You don't want to get up and work. You want the easy way out. You don't want things to be difficult. You want to have fun all the time. You don't feel like taking anything seriously. And that's the poverty mindset. If you want a decent life and a good life, you have to work and earn that thing. It's not given to you. Nobody's giving you nothing out here because nobody gave them nothing. They had to find it. They had to get it. They had to study and do their homework. They had to do their digging. They had to do the heavy lifting. They had to do the groundwork. They had to do it, and nobody helped them. And maybe if somebody did, it wasn't a whole lot of help, and most of the work they had to do it themselves. No matter where you at, where you start, where you finish, there is a lot of work that has to be done when it comes to trying to get to where you're trying to go. I don't know what you're waiting for. Are you waiting for an invitation? Are you waiting for somebody to invite you to your dreams and your goals and your aspirations? I don't know what you're waiting for. The only thing that's holding you back is yourself. You're the only thing standing in your way. Think about that. You are the only thing standing in your way. It's the poverty mindset. Oh, I'll do it tomorrow. Spirit of procrastination. Oh, I'm not ready yet. That's them excuses. You know what I mean? Poverty sucks. And you know what it sucks? It sucks the life out of you. Because if you don't do the work to pour into your life yourself, poverty is going to suck the life out of you. Poverty is more expensive than middle class. Because you don't have money, it's always going to cost you more. You always have to borrow. Rob Peter to pay Paul. And if you want to get a loan, it's always going to come at interest. So you always paying more and more and more for any and everything because you don't have money right now. Now, like I said before, you go one of two ways. Either you embrace it and you enjoy it, you relish in it, you know what I mean? Because everybody else that you see and come across in the same neighborhood, they more than likely going through some of the same things you are. And they can relate. But for those of us who want something different and are tired of seeing the same nonsense go on around the street, down the street and around the corner, we got to start taking our time and building a foundation so we can get up out of here. We got to build our ark. Block by block, brick by brick, screw by screw. Whatever it takes to build that ship, that spaceship, that ark, whatever it is. You got to plot a course. And you got to do it incrementally. Because nothing happens instantly, nothing happens overnight. And if you get it overnight, it's probably going to go just as fast. So, before I go, I want to remind you that poverty sucks. And what it sucks is the life out of you. But ultimately, it's a mindset. You can break out of it incrementally, little by little. But the most important part is not to waste your money or your time. When the weekend comes around, you don't need to be trying to go out to the club and go hang out and do this and do that. Just chill in the house. Maybe watch some Netflix, watch some TV. You know what I mean? Read a book. Maybe go for a walk. Do something that don't require you to spend money, that can occupy your time and your attention. That's the best advice that I can give you for getting out of it. Stop placing so much importance on acquiring material wealth. And get your finances and your house in order. With that being said, Professor Hawk signing out, Hawk Sensei bids you adieu. I hope you're waking up every day with a plan, a purpose, and a smile. And if you're not waking up with a plan, a purpose, and a smile, hey, at least you're waking up. I hope you liked this video. And if you did, go ahead and leave a like. Share it, because we're not stingy, we're not selfish over here. We know there's other people who need to hear this message. And last but not least, subscribe. Because you came back too many times not to push that button, and I'm tired of telling you. I really am, but I'm going to keep telling you. Take care, y'all. Class dismissed.